Colin Hanks, you play Greg in the comedy series Life in Pieces, which was renewed for a second season. So, first off, congratulations on that. How did you find out the good news?
I was in London at the time and was basically getting like frantic emails from Zoe Lister-Jones, who plays my wife on the show. And I was out having dinner sort of by myself, and then all of a sudden there were these, like, I just got a barrage of emails. And of course, over in the UK, like my phone, I'm like have to find free Wi-Fi wherever I am. So I logged on to free Wi-Fi, and all of a sudden there were a whole bunch of emails and texts that all contained, one word and a whole bunch of exclamation points. So it was a fun little way to figure it out. So I had myself a nice stiff whiskey to celebrate, and it was a fun little memory for sure.
What appealed to you about this role as Greg and this show in general when you first signed on?
Honestly, the chance to do something on network television was something that I didn't necessarily think was going to come up. In that I didn't think I was going to be able to find something that engaged me as the reader reading it for the first time. But the structure of the show, I just thought, lent itself to being able to tell stories in a really fun way. And the fact that it was about an extended family, obviously I knew that there was some fertile ground there. So it was really sort of an opportunity to get back into the comedy world, which is one that I enjoy immensely. And a chance to just try something different.
Now, since the show does have this unique format of telling multiple short stories in every episode, does that change sort of how the production, what it's like on set, to produce each individual episode?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was, I would be lying if I didn't say that was also one of the big sort of selling points. Was the sort of schedule, the fact that we have these 4 short stories, sometimes depending on, the script, sometimes they're all in one location, so you have the ability to maybe shoot it out all in one day. And then we have what we sort of have started to call family days, where it's the story that has the most family members. So that could be another day. So there are some days where, you're in there all day long, grinding, but you maybe have 2 of those in a row and then you're done for the week. We shoot multiple cameras, even though it's technically a single camera show. So we tend to move pretty fast, which helps the comedy a lot. But at the end of the day, we all got families at home, so we do want to try and get home as quick as we can.
Speaking of the family, your on-screen family. It's a big, impressive ensemble cast, and includes James Brolin and Diane Wiest as your parents. The way the show is split up, you're not always in those big family scenes. But as you mentioned, you have those family days. So what's it like to shoot those big group ensemble scenes?
Those are always a lot of fun because we all do genuinely get along. We all do like each other's company quite a bit, and so it's all the perks of being a family without any of the downside. We all get along, so those days tend to be quite a bit of fun, and it's nice to be able to know that we have those once an episode. So if my path or my character's path doesn't cross that often with, say, Dan Bacadol's character, it's nice to be able to have those family days where at least we're going to be around and making each other laugh and basically just talking throughout the course of the day. So those lend, it lends to that sort of family atmosphere, and it's nice to sort of break it up, because as much as I love working with Zoe Lister-Jones, I do scenes with other people every now and again.
Yeah, and are there any particular cast members on the show who you hope you'll get a chance to work with even more often than you do already?
Well, I would say Angelique's character. I would love to be able to have a little bit more interaction with her, because I do love Angelique. She's very, very funny. a funny comedian, and I would love to be able to work with Betsy a little bit more. I had a handful of scenes with her that tended to be with Thomas, so it tended to be like the sibling scenes of the short siblings, so to speak. Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where I like having all of the options, and I still feel like there's still plenty of options for us to explore in the upcoming season and hopefully, the seasons down the road.
As you mentioned, Zoe Lister-Jones plays your wife, Jen, on the show. And the show starts, the first episode of the show, your first scene, the two of you, is in the delivery room when she's giving birth. So what was it like, sort of jumping into the deep end with these two characters right from the first episode?
Well, yeah, I mean, I sort of enjoyed that. I enjoyed that was the introduction to the characters, because obviously having two children of my own, I sort of know what that's like. When my wife and I had our first child, we liked the shows that were about new parents, but we didn't necessarily want to see a full half-hour show about it because we're living it all the time. So it was fun to be able to play in that world for 4, 5, 6 minutes, and then be able to go, tell another aspect of the family story. But the fact that was the way you met those two characters, I just thought that was such an interesting start to a relationship. And, when you're on a television program, it's important to know that, people are welcoming you into their home. And so I thought that was a great way of being welcomed into, people's homes. Like, hi, we're in this, we're doing this. And feel free to make as much fun of us as you want, because we're brand new at all this stuff and trying to figure it all out.
The interesting thing was that when the season ended, it was revealed that Greg and Jen are going to have another baby. What are your thoughts on getting to explore, the pregnancy aspect of parents next season? Unless, of course, the next season starts in the delivery room again.
No, that's an interesting idea. Actually, I hadn't thought about that. That would be kind of funny if they did that. No, I mean, obviously, again, it's all fertile ground, no pun intended. I sort of feel like there's plenty of material there that we'd be able to explore. I would like to be able to keep, the Jen character pregnant for as long as we can, because dealing with one baby is hard enough, but dealing with two is another thing completely. I'm talking about in terms of filming scenes with babies. I think it's going to be a fun sort of exploration. I know the writers have just opened up the room, so I know that they're busy sort of coming up with ideas, and I think it's going to be look, the main goal. I hope it's funny. That's the goal.
To make things, if they end up having more kids, I was just thinking, to make things easier, it might be, the prop department might want to call the American Sniper people and just get that baby from American Sniper.
Yeah. Well, listen, we definitely used some sniper babies throughout the course of the season. The sound effects are very helpful.
Any sitcom, on network television that, runs 20, 22 episodes a season, you'll work with multiple directors. And this season, one of the directors of Life in Pieces was Helen Hunt, who coincidentally worked with your father, Tom Hanks, in Castaway previously. What was it like working with her as a director?
But no, Helen was great. She definitely, as an actor, it's nice to be able to know that there's another actor behind the camera that is aware of, parts of the job that can be difficult, or, trying to figure something out and trying to make something organic, and trying to make it work. While, as an actor, I'm also aware that there's a million other things that need to happen in order for any of this to even be committed to film, so to speak. So it's always nice when you know that you have another actor back there who is looking out for you in that way and is not just solely obsessed with, the frame and how it's going to piece together in the edit.
You've done some directing work yourself, including last year the documentary All Things Must Pass about Tower Records. Is that something you'd be interested in pursuing more of, maybe even on Life in Pieces sometime?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I am working on another documentary right now that I can't quite get into quite yet because we're trying to sort of keep a lid on it. But that's going to be coming down the road for sure. And I would love to be able to direct an episode of the show. Hopefully the show will be around long enough that I can convince them and it wouldn't put them off too much.
The work you've done in TV, has ranged. You've been a broad range, from comedies like Life in Pieces to dark dramas like, playing a serial killer in Dexter. Do comedy and drama feel the same from an acting standpoint, or do you feel more at home doing one or the other?
I feel at home doing work, and it doesn't necessarily matter if it's a comedy or a drama. I mean, I had been very fortunate in that, I was able to do Fargo and shows like Dexter and Mad Men as well. So, obviously I was having quite a bit of fun sort of playing in that world of sort of dramatic work. But I also have really enjoyed doing, comedies, and comedy was definitely something that I wanted to try and find a comedy. That was definitely a goal of mine. And because I really enjoy it. I like laughing on set. I have a good time. I like trying to make other people laugh. And so really it's more just about trying to find the thing that's most engaging to me while I'm reading it, the thing that I think will be most engaging to the people that are watching it.
Now, as you mentioned, your last big TV project before Life in Pieces was Fargo, and for that you were nominated for an Emmy, and it ended up winning Best Miniseries. What was that whole award season like last summer?
Oh, the award season was a trip. It was it was my sort of first go around in that sort of world, and it was definitely one of those things that I knew that was special and was unique and doesn't happen all the time, although it happens every year, but it doesn't happen to you every year. And so I really had a good time. I enjoyed it. The only thing that was a little bit of a sorry, my dog's a little loud. The only thing that was a little bit of a bummer, 7 years or so waiting for like that great show, and then you find it, and in that time they've created this new thing called the limited series. And so what was disappointing, and I mean this purely from a personal perspective, it was disappointing not to be able to go back for a second season and celebrate with the crew, because they're a huge part of the experience as an actor, the people that you work with, the costumers, the makeup department, the camera department. And it was kind of disappointing not to be able to go back and, have that moment with them of like, can you believe that happened? That was a little bit bummer. I did get to have one small quick trip towards the end for the scenes, the sort of cameo scenes that we did in the second season. But it was more of a splinter crew. It wasn't the full crew. So I was able to sort of have a good laugh with some of the crew members. But overall, the whole experience was amazing, and I was just so grateful to have been a part of it.
Yeah, Fargo was interesting because, now that there are a few different anthology shows on TV that tackle a different story every season, Fargo is actually, at least this first two seasons, they are set in the same universe. So, is that something you would consider returning to, like if the opportunity came around to go back for another full year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would definitely love to be able to go back and play in that world for sure.
Well, I want to congratulate you again on that Emmy nomination last year and on Life in Pieces this season, and best of luck on next season to come.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.